So to continue things from my last vlog, I need to assemble all the Mandalorians, and I realized that I didn't actually share this project on YouTube, but I did share painting version 1. And in that video I go over how I mix the paints to match my references so that I dial in the look of the Mandalorian. One of the main differences between the first version and the second version is that he comes with this ambient phase pulse blaster. To keep all the small pieces together, I'm going to be using this Instacure glue. This stuff sets in only 5 to 10 seconds. While everything dries, I'm going to hop on a live stream. ARTIQFOX and myself are picking 9 names of those people that entered in the Dabs project release.
Yay, Frank's here! I don't have to be alone. Awkward.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Live streams are a bit nerve-wracking, but when you have someone there to chat with, it makes it so much easier. It definitely was a lot of fun answering a few questions and then just talking about future projects. So again, that's going to happen today at 4. Congrats to the winners, and thank you to everyone that participated. Alright, the live stream's finished, and now I can get back to work. For the large pieces, I'll use the epoxy glue. This stuff's a lot stronger and will hold these pieces way better. Good morning, it's Tuesday. I assembled 3 of the Mandalorians. I have 1 more to go, but I really need to add some paint before I can do that. I also have an interview scheduled. I'm going to be a guest on a podcast associated with DesignerCon. And lastly, I really want to finish the boxes. So let's start the day. Yesterday was one of those days where it felt like I didn't get much done. But if I think about it, I mean, I sent out emails, posted on social media, answered some questions online, and we had a really good live stream. Over the years, I realized I'm one of those people that sets a lot of expectations for myself, and I've tried to dial that back to really just appreciate the small things that I do, which is one of the reasons why I write lists. If you haven't seen this series, what I'm about to share might spoil a little bit, but in Season 1, Episode 2, the Mandalorian comes across a MUDHORN. And there's a little bit of a battle, and basically he gets covered in mud. So that's the inspiration for this one. But I still want some of the colors to show through, so I'm going to add a little at a time. Anytime I have a project that I need to make look dirty or rustic, I'm always hesitant to start the process, but as I get into it, it becomes less of a challenge. It seems like the less I worry about how it looks, the better it turns out. Painting on this one looks really good. All that's left is to clear coat this, and then while that dries, I'm going to work on the capes for each of these, and then I'll be all finished. I'm using this premium quality felt. To make things easier, I cut this template to follow. By adding materials like felt to my work, it really gives it that handmade feeling, and I just love how it complements the shapes and the colors. Now just to add paint to the cape, this will really tie in the rest of the look. Now I'm no expert, but I've taken the time to really understand how I want these pieces to fit. And what I can tell you is there are many ways to go about it. Now I need to jump into this interview. I sat down with Rick and Chris of the Origins podcast. It's associated with the DesignerCon convention, and the podcast is just their way to show the artists behind the work and inspire other people. It was a lot of fun sharing my story. I'll leave a link down below when that goes live. And now to add the very last touch to this project, the branding. I created some text in Procreate that I'll mirror, print, and transfer onto the box. I feel like it adds a rustic touch and it pairs well with the Star Wars theme. As exhausted as I was yesterday, I actually managed to finish everything on my to-do list. Now moving on to today, I only have half the day to work, so I'm going to spend it by getting some photos taken of the Mandalorians so I can get them boxed up and out of the way. And then I'll focus on my next project where I share how I make my molds using Lego bricks. I've recently shared a short video briefly going over my photography setup. I found this roll-up backdrop that works really well as my background. It's not as adventurous as going outside, but it's perfect when it's raining here in Washington. If you're enjoying this video, comment down below with a skull emoji so I know who you are. I'm creating these vlog and work along with me style videos to share the real work. They motivate me to move and be accountable. It's part of me that has struggled a bit as an artist, especially here on YouTube. start my day, I have a couple things I need to finish editing from yesterday. So let's plug away at the day. This is a perfect time to remind you, if you're not signed up for the Patreon, join us. I share behind the scenes look at all the things going on here in the studio. And as I share my weeks, I'm hoping to share more content and a little more dialogue about what is really happening and where I'm heading. I just finished posting all the photos that I've taken behind the scenes onto Patreon. So if you remember, have a look and let me know what you think. To start the process of creating molds, we'll need to make sure the sculpture looks ready. All my tools are laid out, from sandpaper, sponges, and sticks, and even my sharp X-Acto blade and a silicone surface to cut on. Typically when I'm using a resin printer, I notice these tiny little air pockets at the very tip of the print. You can see this next to all the layer lines. The idea is to smooth everything out, and then I'll patch these little holes and any imperfections with glazing putty. Now I have a meeting set up with a good friend of mine, Ben Albin. How you doing?
Good afternoon to you, sir. Yeah, good, dude. Good, dude. I love that YouTube video that you put out.
I have a clip of where I'm like, please don't fall down. Like me just beaming over, because it literally is like on that edge.
Very close to the edge.
We talked last time, and honestly, I was going through a lot.
It's a dangerous game, the social media stuff, man.
I'm trying to like touch on more with content is like the action of actually just doing the stuff is more like really meaningful than what you put out there. And
yeah, like I don't want to film anything. I don't give a shit. I just
right.
Get this thing done.
It's like 13 toys, and then like half of them show up broken.
I can't do anything about it. I literally can't.
Yeah.
I've got no control. I've controlled this whole process. I've tried to get the connection points. I've got all the epoxy and everything to just bang on. Tested them. Like, I feel like I'm kind of like skipping school a little bit. Like I should be doing something. Like,
Ben is such a talented and really good person. He recently got into sculpting and making resin copies of his work. And so much of this process is new to him. I'll tag him in the description so you can check out his work. It's a bit early, but it's a good day to get started so I can get off early and play some video games with my kids. As soon as I wake up, I just need to record some voiceovers for the content that I've been filming. I'll try to clean it up a little more. So I'll spend about an hour doing that, and then I'm gonna hop into sanding. I didn't get quite far. Me and Ben, we spoke on the phone for about 2 hours. We got really amped about 3D printers, and we talked about which ones we're getting next. He actually decided to bite the bullet and picked up his first resin printer. Yeah, we had a good conversation. The last time I talked to Ben, I was kind of going downhill in terms of motivation and direction. One thing I've been struggling with throughout my adulthood is alcoholism and having the need to consume beer. It's something that I will talk more about when I find the right time, but I've been sober for about 3 months, and yeah, it feels good. Obviously, I'm back at work, and I couldn't be more lucky. And to go down that path and share that with Ben last time, I look at it and it sucks that I had to go through all those experiences, but it's really nice to share that with somebody and be accepted for it. So I think a lot of us being creatives, we spend time alone, and sometimes our thoughts can get lost, some for the good and some for the bad. When you feel like you have nothing, the strangest thoughts can surface. So anyways, let me get some coffee in, get the day started, and we can finish sanding Ragnar so we can move on to molds. Creating these videos means a big chunk of my week are spent editing, and what I believe would take only an hour took about 5. But I'm gonna get as much sanding as I can done. On this print there were a lot of questionable areas, especially on the back of his helmet. All this stuff will need to be filled, but it's still okay to use. I also need to plug up the holes that I've created when I hollowed this print. So at this point, I'm just trying to global sand the entire resin sculpture, making sure that I take down those bumps and that the majority of it is real smooth. There is also some weird defect in the print. On the inside, it looks almost as if it's webbing of some sort. If any of you know what the reason for this is, leave a comment down below. One thing that's important to me when I'm fitting all these pieces together is that when the head and body go together, I don't want it to be too loose, so I keep it tight. And that's because when I make the silicone molds, there's some expanding, and sometimes the resin pieces don't nearly fit as tight. There are also a few other shift lines like on the hand and the feet. I'm not sure if that is user error or the resin printer that I'm using. I've had it for about 3 years, and I'm actually looking to get a larger one. For those of you that are wondering, I use a 320 and a 220 sandpaper grit. Sometimes I'll go down to the smoothness of 400. It really just depends on what you prefer. And that's the last piece. There's still quite a bit of work to do on this entire thing, but I want to hit it with a light coat of primer. These gator clips and dowels will hold everything together. This stage of my work is very similar to when I'm making my project videos. Another busy week. I didn't quite finish early, but there's still some time for video games. I'm gonna let Ragnar dry, and next week I'm gonna fill all the rest of the holes and start making 2-part molds. So join me as I share how I do it using Lego bricks. Again, thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.